Oh shit, I think I hear a zombie.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh shit, here we go again.
DayZ is a game that is loved by many players, and it most certainly has a strong foundation and presence for the survival genre. It has a big following and community on multiple platforms, a healthy average player count of 50,000 on Steam, and hundreds of thousands of viewers watch YouTube videos of DayZ on a daily basis. I love zombie games, and I have played so many of them, including Dying Light, Left 4 Dead, and Dead Island, but I have never ever played DayZ. I was always aware of this game, but never really had the urge to wanna play it until now. I played both on the official and community servers so I could have a good understanding of both sides, but I ended up playing the official servers way more because of the authentic and vanilla experience that it seemed to offer. One of the best things I experienced in DayZ is the unpredictability. In one moment, you could be looting in a house for food, and in the next moment, someone could be pointing a gun at your face. Hey man, oh shit, I got nothing, I'm innocent. I'm dying, bro. I'm dying. Starvation.
Go.
Thank you. You don't really know where you could be meeting people in the open world, and more importantly, if they are friendly or enemies. And this also includes zombies that lurks around the houses and the streets. I realized you don't want to end up attracting too many zombies at the same time, because it really becomes more challenging to stay alive, which I do appreciate. Another thing was the ability to directly talk to people with your microphone to form conversations or funny interactions.
Thanks.
I was still able to find friendly people to play with and have a good time, despite playing entirely solo and not worrying about having any friends. You help each other out, you loot together, you kill together, and eventually you die together like brothers. This experience was awesome, and I simply haven't felt like this in any other game. I read so many comments from people saying that they were able to find new friends and communities to engage with in DayZ, and it's no surprise that it's because the game encourages you to try and interact with other players. Another thing that stood out to me is the ambience and atmosphere of DayZ, such as sound effects, background music, or the weather effects. It really provides that horrifying experience of not knowing if someone is lurking around you, or if there are zombies waiting for you to turn up, especially during darker times. You can tell that DayZ is trying to provide a realistic experience in terms of making it immersive, horrifying, but engaging. I think this is one of its strongest aspects, as it always made me be cautious and aware of my surroundings while playing the game. Now, as far as the good things for this game, I really tried to enjoy DayZ as much as I could, and I gave it many more hours than I usually do for a first impression, but I eventually stopped playing the game because of very important reasons. The first thing that really made me dislike DayZ over time is that it looks like a game that came out in early 2000s despite the effort of trying to become a realistic hardcore survival game. It still looks very outdated despite being out for over a decade. It bothers me that this game is trying to offer a realistic and immersive experience while having very low graphical fidelity. And what I mean by that is, the character models are bad, low quality textures on buildings and objects, or just things in the environment that are not as detailed as you would like them to be. Like, generally speaking, a lot of it doesn't look good in comparison to all the games that I've played. I mean, Left 4 Dead came out in 2009 and still has way better graphics than DayZ does. Or even Dead Island Definitive that came out in 2011 also provides a much better graphical experience. In combination with this, when a game has good physics, every action that you make feels more realistic because of the weight and impact that is added to the gameplay, and I could not experience this in DayZ at all. For example, in Left 4 Dead, when you shoot a zombie, the body will react in different ways depending on where you shot it, and it will eventually collapse or fly backwards based on the force of that bullet. But in DayZ, zombies often have very basic animations and physics with very little variation, and it takes away the immersion I have while playing the game. I'm telling you, one of my favorite things about Left 4 Dead or Dying Light is the ability to hit zombies with weapons to see how they react differently each time. Even if DayZ is more of a survival game than anything, it's still set in a post-apocalyptic world with zombies, and so you would have expected the zombie interactions to be way better 10 years later, and it's unfortunate that it isn't. I know that a game doesn't need to have the best graphics in order to be enjoyable, but in the case of DayZ, it is very obvious that this game tries to offer a realistic and immersive playthrough, and so if you can add on to that experience by, for example, making better graphics and interactions, well then more people are going to appreciate that. Let me give you a few examples. Look at the difference between eating a can of food in Escape from Tarkov and a can of food in DayZ. It is much more visually pleasing and impressive in Tarkov than it is in DayZ. Does it look realistic to you to build a car by drag and dropping the car wheels or other items from your inventory? No, it doesn't. You may think these things are not important, but trust me, a lot of players appreciate the attention to small details because that is what makes the game feel more alive. How about providing a cool interaction or animation to opening your backpack like they have in Metro Exodus, instead of just pressing tab to drag and drop items all the time in DayZ? Or how about being able to see you build that car in real time without the car wheels just magically appearing to the right spot? And this seems to be the case for almost anything that you interact with in DayZ. There's a lot of depth and features in this game, but if executing or performing a certain action does not look visually pleasing to me, then I'm not going to be impressed by the amount of things that you can do in DayZ. I would rather have very few features with cool and polished interactions than to have a lot of features but with stiff and boring animations. And so I had to ask myself, why is this the case for DayZ? Why haven't the game received any meaningful updates that could improve and polish these gameplay interactions? I've seen people defend the idea that, well, it's unnecessary to upgrade the graphics because the game is just fantastic in the way it is. And I simply disagree with this. The user interface in this game looks like a basic template from an Unreal Engine project. The game clearly has outdated physics, outdated graphics, and half-baked features that don't provide any meaningful interactions. The game also has apparently plenty of bugs and glitches that you get to experience from time to time. And one of the worst things is that there are so many cheaters in the official servers. I had to confirm that I wasn't going crazy about this, and it seems like the Steam reviews are also mad about how many cheaters there are. Everyone seems to be pissed about how the developers have managed the game so far. And let me tell you, from an outsider's perspective, it's not a good look for someone that is completely new to DayZ to see all of that, especially knowing that this game has existed for over a decade. I mean, it's been reported that DayZ has sold over 4 million copies in its entire lifespan, and so you have to ask, surely they're capable of hiring more developers to continue making DayZ a much better and polished experience. Instead, they give the impression that they are simply trying to milk money from their player base while not providing any meaningful updates. I really don't get why I had to spend $40 or $50 for a game that came out in 2013. That is insane to me. Again, I know there are people that are gonna disagree with this and think that none of this is necessary, but trust me, there are many players out there that feel the same way I do. I'm not saying that DayZ is a bad game, but I would love to see better looking characters, physics and animations, as well as much cooler interactions generally speaking. I would love to see DayZ 2, and that's because I'm one of those guys that want to see the games industry moving forward. I want to see a more modern version of DayZ because of how much potential this game has. But hey, that is just my take. Let me know in the comments what improvements you would like to see in DayZ. That's about it. Have a good day, folks.